So today, everybody, you guys were working on a lot of ground fighting, and I kind of wanted to take a second. Some of you guys probably heard this speech once, some of you heard it 1,000 times, some of them might be the first time I heard it. And I got to talk about ground fighting and kind of the two ends of the spectrum that are both very wrong. So when you first start studying martial arts, a lot of people don't think about the ground when they think about martial arts. They think about kung fu, punches, kicks, and what have you. But the fact of the matter is about 90% of all fights end up on the ground. So to not learn ground fighting would be very foolish. However, some people take that exact stat and say, well, since 90% of all fights end up on the ground, I will focus 100% of my efforts on ground fighting. However, ground fighting is incredibly dangerous. The really interesting thing is that you have some people, some martial arts, actually most martial arts, about 90% of martial arts, it's funny, it's like the average, of martial arts don't actually effectively address ground fighting. I've studied martial arts for years and had very few people even talk about ground fighting. And then when I bring up ground fighting, they'll say, well, fighting on the ground is so dangerous that you absolutely should never do it. And I don't disagree with this. I actually think that's probably correct. If you're out on the street or at a bar or at a party, you're right. You probably should avoid going to the ground. If I go to the ground with someone and they have a blade, it's easier for them to hurt me with it. But way more importantly, if I go to the ground with someone and they have friends, I'm basically screwed. However, there's this kind of mentality towards that I disagree with, where they say you should never go to the ground, so therefore you should never learn or practice ground fighting. And that seems really silly to me. Because the whole reason why we study martial arts in the first place is for the sole purpose of preparing for the worst case scenario. Right? That's the reason why self-defense exists. I assume none of you guys are planning to go out there and start a fight. But you prepare for self-defense, so if the fight comes to you, you can protect yourself. So you hope for the best, plan for the worst. However, so many different arts, whether it be kung fu or kempo or karate or whatever it may be, say we're planning for the worst, but not that worse, not that bad. And they kind of make this stopping point of saying, I'm not going to study extensively ground fighting because it's so damn dangerous. So to me, if it's the most dangerous thing, it should be something you're an expert at. I always consider it kind of like flying a plane. We normally don't judge a pilot's ability as a civilians. I don't fly, I don't know anything about flying a plane. But usually you don't have someone get considered a phenomenal pilot because they go their entire career and never have anything go wrong. Many times we praise pilots for their ability to handle a crash landing. And a part of studying to become a pilot is you have to know how to do a crash landing. I have a friend who studied aviation, and he said while he was studying to fly a plane, there was a point in which they went all the way up, and then his teacher turned off the engine and said, "Save us." And he had to know how to do a crash landing. That's kind of what I consider ground fighting. You want to be an expert at it, right? But you sure as hell want to avoid it at all costs. But on the other end of the spectrum, there's the people who put 100% of their efforts into ground fighting. And I think that's a mistake too. That they become an expert at bridging the gap and executing the takedown, achieving the dominant position, getting a submission. And these are all important skills to have, don't get me wrong. They are crucial. But on the same turn, if you could have finished the fight faster, but you don't have the skills for it, you may put yourself in a dangerous situation. Because the people who are against ground fighting are correct too. They're right. When you go to the ground, it's dangerous. You're likely to get stomped on by somebody else. It's harder to deal with something like a knife or something if someone's that close to you. That distance fighting, strike them in the eye, hit them with the elbow, headbutt, that kind of stuff that happens in stand fighting does end fights incredibly quickly. And so for me, to really consider yourself an expert at self-defense, you can't say that you're one or the other. You can't be a stand fighter or a grappler. I disagree. The fact is the two of them need each other. When you're fighting someone who's bigger, stronger, more powerful than you, you need good grappling skills to be able to stop someone from out-grappling you. And you need good striking skills to be able to prevent somebody from striking you. And many times a smaller fighter won't be able to knock out a bigger fighter, which is all the more reason to be good at grappling. But also, somebody who has expertise in grappling can be thwarted by somebody who understands stand fighting to the point that they can prevent the takedown. So you have to be an expert in everything. And this is where most self-defense courses kind of fail, and this is where I think what we're doing is kind of ahead of the game. Is most self-defense courses are kind of these like, I don't know if any of you guys have taken any, but they're always kind of these like, either 3 easy lessons or 2-hour courses, or sometimes they're 13 techniques, and that's it. And that's their self-defense course. What I want you guys to do, what I challenge you to do, is train like a mixed martial artist for self-defense. Learn how to be an expert at stand, clinch, and ground fighting. Become an expert at dealing with multi-man scenarios, weapons coming at you. And then spar. Put on gloves, punch each other, kick each other. Get on the ground, wrestle with each other, do ground fighting with each other, do your judo, practice judo and throw each other, and literally train as though you're preparing for a tournament, but in order to prepare yourself to defeat somebody who's bigger, stronger, more powerful than you. On top of that, ground fighting is really important because it's also one of the only ways to subdue somebody without just beating the living shit out of them. Okay? Because whereas, you guys know I love Kenpo, but Kenpo never gives me any option for what do I do if my brother gets drunk and tries to hurt me. I'm not going to do the dance of death to my brother. But I could do an outside reap and establish a choke and put him to sleep. That's a very peaceful option. So understand that when it comes to ground fighting, the two extremes, as you guys will find, I have this opinion about most things, are not the way to go. It's the middle way. Okay? You don't want to exclusively be a stand fighter, nor do you want to exclusively be a ground fighter, because someone will come along who can expose your weaknesses. If you study everything, then you prepare for everything. And that's kind of what we talk about in the Jeet Kune Do world, where it's maybe formless and shapeless like water. You put water into a cup, and it becomes the cup. You put it into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. And water can flow or water can crash. You water, my friend. You heard Bruce Lee say this phrase. Well, you unpack that. You want to be formless and shapeless like water. Well, that's having no style. Having no system, right? Well, then he goes on to explain, well, why is it important to have no style, have no system? Well, if you put water into a cup, a grappler, it can become the cup. So it can be a grappler or it can be a stand fighter, depending on what you need. You put it into a bottle, a stand fighter, it can become the bottle. So you can be a stand fighter. Or hell, you can be a grappler if that's the better option. Now water can flow or water can crash. This is the concept of hard and soft. There are hard styles, soft styles in martial arts. It's silly, once again, to choose one over the other. There are some times when something comes at you, you have to let it pass. And there's other times when you have to directly oppose a force. You need to be skilled at both. This is the core of what I'm trying to teach you. So understand that when I'm teaching you guys ground fighting, I'm not intending for you to intentionally go to the ground. But I kind of want you to be like a shark in the ocean. Okay? You can think you're really fucking good at swimming until you jump in the ocean with a shark. And then the best human swimmer on earth is nothing compared to that shark, right? So that's my idea, is that you don't want to go to the ground, but somebody's there who thinks they can swim, and so they're going to jump in the water with you. What they don't know is you're a fucking shark. And that's the reason why we get good at ground fighting. It's not to intentionally go there, but when we do go there, we're going to be the best at it. That make sense? Alright, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Alright, so let's go out. Alright, open mat for anybody who wants it. Hi there everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please be sure to rate, comment, like, and subscribe to this video here on YouTube, and feel free to share this video with your friends on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, the School of Self-Defense also has a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and an Instagram page, so be sure to check us out there. Also, if you guys live in the Indianapolis area and you're interested in coming to train with us, all the information you need to get started is available at theschoolofselfdefense.com, so be sure to check that out. To be honest, we really appreciate your guys' support. We really couldn't do it without you. So until next time, fight on.